Very good evening, friends. In this video in this class we will see the concept of, or we will understand the concept of Coulomb's law, which is the basic law of electrostatics. Okay? How to apply Coulomb's law, or what is meant by Coulomb's law, what it states, how to apply Coulomb's law, what are the different applications of Coulomb's law. All this we will see in this video. First of all, let us understand what is Coulomb's law. So Coulomb's law is basically the basic law of Coulomb's law is the basic law of electrostatics. What I mean by electrostatics, I think you are familiar with this already. Electrostatics is nothing but a branch of physics which deals with the charges that are at rest. Okay, so this is called as electrostatics. Now the Coulomb's law is nothing but the basic law of electrostatics, which is proposed by, this is the law which is proposed by the scientist named Charles Augustin de Coulomb. This is the name of the scientist who invented Coulomb's law in the year 1785, right? So now what we can understand from about Coulomb's law, what we know about Coulomb's law up to now. Coulomb's law is the basic law of electrostatics, which is proposed by the scientist named Charles Augustin de Coulomb in the year 1785. Now we will see some more details about Coulomb's law. What is what this Coulomb state, or what is the statement of Coulomb's law, right? So Coulomb's law statement goes like this: the force on, or sorry, the force in between any 2 point charges, the force between any 2 point charges is directly proportional to product of the two charges, is directly proportional to product of the two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. So product of the two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them, square of the distance between them. Okay, so it is like inverse square law, what we have seen in universal law of gravitation. So square of the distance between them, square of the distance between them, right? So what we can understand, or I can divide this statement into two parts for easy understanding. The force in between 2 point charges. Okay, so the force in between 2 point charges is directly proportional to the product of two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. This is the statement of Coulomb's law. As the first statement, I am taking that this directly proportional, right? So the force is directly proportional to product of the two charges. So it is directly proportional to Q1 into Q2. And as the second statement, I am taking the inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Let us assume that R is the distance between them. In that case, the force is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Now combining these two facts that Coulomb's law gives us, force is directly proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. So for example, if I have a charge Q1 here and another charge Q2 here, and if the distance between the two charges is R meters or R centimeters, whatever it may be, so whatever may be the charges, means they may be positive or positive negative, negative positive, whatever may be the charge on these two charged bodies. So the force between these 2 point charges is always proportional to the product of the 2 charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them, right? So this is the mathematical relation between the force and the charges which we can obtain with the help of Coulomb's law. Now, in order to remove this proportionality, so force is proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. We know that the unit of force is Newton. It is a SI unit. Now, in order to remove this proportionality, I need to introduce a constant. So by introducing a constant, it becomes F is equal to K into Q1 Q2 by R square Newton. Now experimentally it is proved that the K value is nothing but it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, right? So this is having the unit. So what can be the unit of K? So the unit of K can be obtained from this equation which is taken from Coulomb's law. So how can I write K? I can write K as F into R square divided with Q1 into Q2, right? Now what is the unit of force? Unit of force is Newton and unit of distance is in meter usually, so it is Newton meter square. The unit of charge is Coulomb, so Newton meter square Coulomb power minus 2. So this is the unit of K, right? It is the proportionality constant unit. Now experimentally it is proved that the K value is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is nothing but the permittivity. So it is the permittivity of the free space. Permittivity of the free space means it depends upon the medium. Is it right or not? See, if we do not have a free space, epsilon naught is replaced with epsilon, which is equal to product of epsilon naught and epsilon r, where epsilon is nothing but the permittivity of that particular medium. We can call it as absolute permittivity. Absolute permittivity. And what is the unit of what is epsilon r? It is a relative permittivity. Relative permittivity. Now what is the value of epsilon naught? So the permittivity of free space or air has a fixed value which we can take its value as 8.854 into 10 power minus 12 farad per meter, right? Or we can also consider it as 1 by 36 pi into 10 power minus 9 farad per meter. These are the two fixed values of the permittivity of free space which we can use during the numerical calculations. And what is the unit of epsilon? Epsilon is nothing but absolute permittivity. It depends upon the medium in between the two charges. If this is Q1 and this is Q2 separated by some distance, and here you have some medium in between Q1 and Q2, so the permittivity of that medium is epsilon. If in between these two charges, if there is a free space or if there is a vacuum, then the epsilon can be simply replaced with epsilon naught. Otherwise you need to use this as the product of epsilon naught and epsilon r. So the unit of absolute permittivity is also farad per meter, and epsilon r is nothing but the relative permittivity. What is meant by relative permittivity here? If you observe, I can write the relative permittivity as the ratio of epsilon by epsilon naught. So what does this ratio indicates? It shows the permittivity of that particular medium in between the charges when compared with the permittivity of free space, right? So this has the unit of farad per meter and this has the unit of farad per meter, so both will get cancelled, so there will be no unit for epsilon r. So the relative permittivity has no units. It has only a particular value. It has no unit. Whereas the absolute permittivity and the permittivity of a free space both has units, and that units are farad per meter. And what is the unit of K? It is Newton meter Coulomb per power minus 2, which is obtained from the statement of Coulomb's law, right? Now finally I want to keep this in a proper form. So F is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught r square Newton. So this expression gives us force between, right? What this expression gives us? This expression gives us force between 2 point charges Q1 and Q2 separated by a distance r, in free space or vacuum. Okay, so according to Coulomb's law, the expression or the equation F is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught r square Newton gives us the force between 2 point charges Q1 and Q2 separated by a distance r units in free space or vacuum. If it is not free space or vacuum, then you can replace that epsilon naught with epsilon, so it becomes 4 pi epsilon r square. It is as simple as it is, right? Now we will see some more facts related to Coulomb's law. Okay, some other facts related to Coulomb's law. Let us see those facts. So some other facts, not factors, okay, some other facts related to Coulomb's law. Some other facts related to Coulomb's law, right? So what is the first fact which is related to Coulomb's law? So it looks almost like universal law of gravitation, right? This is the first fact. So Coulomb's law looks similar to universal law of gravitation. Okay, so what is universal law of gravitation? Here, according to this law, the force between any two objects is directly proportional to m1 m2, means product of the two masses, and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them with a constant g. Instead of k, we have this constant g. Okay, so this is called as universal law of gravitation. So Coulomb's law looks similar to universal law of gravitation, which gives us the force between two objects which are having the masses m1 and m2 separated by some distance r between them. This is the first fact. And the second fact which we need to understand is force between the 2 point charges, force between 2 point charges always acts, right? Force between 2 point charges always acts along the line joining the two charges. Force between 2 point charges always acts along the line joining the two charges. So this is one more important fact which we need to keep in our mind about Coulomb's law. For example, when you have a charge Q1 here and when you have a charge Q2 here, the force between them acts along the line joining the two charges. This is the line joining along the two charges. If this is positive and negative, the force on this charge will be in this direction, the force on this charge will be in this direction, because it is a attractive force, right? For example, if Q1 present here and Q2 is present here. The line joining between Q1 and Q2 is this line, right? This is the line joining the Q1 and Q2. So if this Q1 is positive and this Q2 is positive, you will have the force on Q1 in this direction, force on Q2 in this direction, right? Same is the case with both the negative charges. So because it is a repulsive force. We all know from our basics of physics that the like charges always gets repelled and the unlike charges always gets attracted. So this is a attractive force and this is a repulsive force, right? So the force between the 2 point charges always acts along the line joining the two charges. This is one more fact. And the third fact, which is very important which will be asked in the interviews is, here this Coulomb's law is useful. Okay, so where this Coulomb's law will be more useful. So Coulomb's law is useful in those cases, right? Coulomb's law will be useful in those cases when the size of the object, when the size of the charged bodies, is very much lesser, when the size of the charged bodies is very much lesser when compared to distance between them, is very much lesser when compared to distance between them, when compared to the distance between them. So this is the third fact which we need to keep in our mind. Okay, so this is about the fundamentals of Coulomb's law, who invented Coulomb's law and in which year the Coulomb's law was invented and what this Coulomb's law states and what are the different facts related to Coulomb's law. This is about Coulomb's law, but we need to go through another concept which is related to Coulomb's law, which is called as vector form of Coulomb's law. Vector form of Coulomb's law. Why we are going to vector form of Coulomb's law? Why we are moving to vector form of Coulomb's law? Vector form of Coulomb's law is necessary because the force is a vector quantity. Since force is a vector quantity, we need vector form of Coulomb's law. What is meant by a vector quantity? Vector quantity means a quantity which can be defined with both magnitude and direction. We can call it as a vector quantity. The force is a vector quantity, hence we need to know the vector form of Coulomb's law, right? So before going to the vector form, let us have some assumptions, right? I have a charge Q1 here and I have another charge Q2 here and I have a origin here. Okay, in a free space I have two charges Q1 and Q2, which are, this is the origin, which are at some distance from the origin, right? So the charge Q1, let us assume the charge Q1, it is at a distance vector or the position vector. Okay, we can call it as a position vector. So R1 bar gives us a position vector, means it gives the position of Q1 with respect to origin, right? Now I am taking another vector which is R2 bar. R2 bar is another vector, another position vector which gives us the position of Q2, right? So R1 bar is nothing but position vector, what we can say, R1 bar can be called as position vector of Q1. And what is R2 bar? R2 bar is nothing but the position vector of Q2, because it gives the position of the charge Q2 with respect to origin, and it gives us the position of the charge Q1 with respect to origin. And I am considering one more vector here. Okay, so before giving the name for this, if if I am moving from 1 to 2, means the position where Q1 exists to the position where Q2 exists, if I move in this direction, I call this vector as, let me write here, it is R12 bar, right? When I am moving from, keep in your mind, when I am moving from Q2 to Q1 like this, in this direction, I call this vector as R21 bar, right? I am moving from 2 to 1, so it is R21 bar, right? Now, what is R12 bar? R12 bar is nothing but R2 bar minus R1 bar. It is a distance vector. Next, what is R21 bar? It is R1 bar minus R2 bar. These two vectors are called as distance vectors, whereas R1 bar, R2 bar are called as position vectors, and R12 bar, R21 bar are called as distance vectors. Now, what is the relation between R12 bar and R21 bar? Both has the same magnitude. If you observe the distance between Q1 and Q2, the magnitude of the distance between Q1 and Q2 remains the same, whereas the direction is different if we move from Q1 to Q2 and Q2 to Q1. So, we know that R12 bar is nothing but minus R21 bar. Okay, so these are the assumptions which I want to have before going to the vector form of Coulomb's law, right? Now, let me write it now, the vector form of Coulomb's law. Let us also define some forces, right? So, I am defining here F12 bar. Okay, you can define in any way. As far as simplicity is concerned, I am giving this definition of F12 bar. F12 bar is nothing but I am defining in this way: force on Q1, force on Q2 due to Q1, means force experienced by Q2 due to the electric field of Q1. Okay, why these charges are experiencing some force? Because of the electric field, that is surrounded around the charge. It may be positive or negative, you have the electric field created. Due to these electric fields, there is force, right? So these lines of field are also called as lines of force. So that is the reason why. So now, what is F21 bar? So I am writing F21 bar as force on Q1, force experienced by Q1 due to Q2. So I am defining in this way. Now, can I write the expression for F12 bar according to Coulomb's law? F12 bar is nothing but Q1 Q2, means the force is proportional to the product of charges Q1 and Q2, and inversely proportional to the distance between, means the square of the distance between them, right? So it is a 4 pi epsilon naught. I am assuming that the medium between Q1 and Q2 is a air medium or a vacuum. Now, what is the square here? Means what is the distance here? You can consider, if you observe, if you see the previous diagram, you can consider it as R12 or you can consider it as R21. As I am finding F12, I am considering R12 only. So I am considering this as R12, but here I need to have the square of the magnitude. So that is the reason why I am taking the square of the magnitude. Now up to this portion, it is entirely the magnitude of the force. Now how can I get the direction? Because it is a vector. A vector can be represented as simply in simple words, I can say the vector can be represented as a product of its magnitude and unit vector, right? So this is a magnitude, and how can I represent the unit vector? It is in this direction. So AR12 bar. Okay, so what is AR12 bar? It is a unit vector directed from Q1 to Q2. So for example, if this is Q1 and if this is Q2, right? So and this is the origin, and what is this distance we consider? This distance as R1 bar, and what is this distance we consider? This distance as R2 bar, and now this is R12 or R21, whatever it may be. Now if this is positive and positive, let me see the three cases. What are the three cases? If these two are positive charges, equal charges, then Q1 will move in this direction and Q2 will move in this direction. This is the same case with the both having negative charges, right? If both are positive, then this charge will move in this direction and this charge will move in this direction. If both are negative, then also this charge will move in this direction and this charge will move in this direction. Now if one is positive and another one is negative, if one is positive and another one is negative, then how will be the force? The force will be this charge will move in this direction and this charge will move in this direction, right? So now if you observe here, the force on Q1, what is F12 bar? Force on Q2 due to Q1. It is the force on Q2 due to Q1, right? Now this is the direction which we need to consider. So you have a force in this direction, right? As it is in this direction, I am considering the unit vector from 1 to 2, right? Now don't bother about the polarities. This is same. This is this statement or this mathematical equation holds good whether both are negative charges, whether both are positive charges, whether one is positive and negative. In all the three situations, the same equation holds good. Just you need to represent Q1 with positive and Q2 with negative if both are opposite polarity, right? Now what is AR12 bar? Let me write here what is meant by AR12 bar so that you can easily write its mathematical equation. It is a unit vector oriented from Q1 to Q2. It is a unit vector oriented from Q1 to Q2. Now it is equal to the ratio of, what is a unit vector? It is the, mathematically a unit vector can be represented as the ratio of a vector to its magnitude. What is the vector? Vector is from 1 to 2. So R12 bar divided by its magnitude. So R12 bar magnitude. So this is the value of AR12 bar. Now from this how can I write F12 bar? So F12 bar can be written as F12 bar is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Here you will have one R12 bar magnitude and it is a square. So you will get R12 bar magnitude whole cube, which is nothing but just the distance, the magnitude of the distance between charges Q1 and Q2, right? And this is R12 bar, right? Newton. So up to this is the entire magnitude and this is the vector. So totally this is a vector. So this is the force on Q2 due to Q1. Now how can I write the force on Q1 due to Q2? Let me take a separate page. Now what is F21 bar? How can I write F21 bar? F21 bar can be written as again Q1 Q2 divided with 4 pi epsilon naught. As I have taken 21 bar, I am taking again here also 21 bar square. Up to this, what is this? Up to this, it is a magnitude. It is a magnitude. Now a vector can be represented as a product of magnitude and its direction. What is the direction? A R 21 bar. From 2 to 1, it is in reverse direction. Now what is AR21 bar? AR21 bar. AR21 bar is nothing but unit vector. AR21 bar is nothing but unit vector oriented from Q2 to Q1. If you see the previous, AR12 bar is nothing but unit vector oriented from Q1 to Q2. Now AR21 bar is nothing but a unit vector oriented from Q2 to Q1, and it is equal to, a unit vector is always the ratio of vector to its magnitude. What is the vector? R21 bar is the vector, and what is the magnitude? R21 bar magnitude, right? Now by just replacing AR21 bar with this term, right? How can I get this? F21 bar is equal to Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Already I have R21 bar magnitude square, and I have another magnitude, so it will become cube. So R21 bar magnitude whole cube into R21 bar Newton. Okay, so this is the force on Q1 due to Q2, right? Previously it is the force on Q2 due to Q1. Now write both the equations. Okay, let me write in a separate page so that you can understand it easily. F12 bar and F21 bar. Okay, let me write it with a different color. So F21 bar. So F12 bar is nothing but Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught magnitude of R12 bar whole cube into R12 bar Newton. And here F21 bar is, again it is product of Q1 and Q2, 4 pi epsilon naught and R21 bar magnitude whole cube into R21 bar Newton. Now see here, in both the equations, consider this as first equation and consider this as second equation. In both the equations you have Q1 Q2, 4 pi epsilon naught, everything, and the magnitude of R12 bar is same as magnitude of R21 bar. Okay, let me see here again with the help of diagram. So this is Q1 and this is Q2. So this is the distance between them. It can be R12 or it can be R21. The magnitude remains same, but the direction will be different. Magnitude remains same. So R12 bar magnitude is same as R21 bar magnitude whole cube. Okay, so up to this everything is same in both the equations. What is the only difference? R12 bar and here R21 bar. Let me go to the first one here in the vector form. What I have written, R12 bar is nothing but minus R21 bar, right? So now R12 bar is nothing but minus R21 bar. These two are same, these two are opposite. Now by considering these two, how can I write F21 bar? F21 bar is nothing but minus, F12 bar is nothing but minus F21 bar, or F21 bar is equal to minus F12 bar. Okay, so the force between two charges is always equal in magnitude. The force between the two charges Q1 and Q2 is always equal in magnitude because everything has same value, everything is same. as far as the magnitude is concerned, right? But the direction will be different. It is not a different fact, it is not a different conclusion which we have arrived now. It is not, it is not a different conclusion. You can see this fact also with physically, okay, by observing the charges, by seeing the charge movements. If this is q1 q2, q1 q2, if both are positive, then how q1 will move? Q1 will move in this direction and q2 will move in this direction. So now if you observe, the two forces are in opposite direction but with the same magnitude, and if both are negative, then also q1 will move in this direction and q2 will move in this direction. Now tell me, the force on q1, this is the q1, the force on q1 due to q2 is in this direction, the force on q2 due to q1 is in this direction. Now if you observe, these two directions are opposite. Here also these two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Let us see the third case. What is the third case? One is positive and another one is negative. In this case also, one charge will move in this direction and another charge will move in this direction. So the force on q1 due to q2 is in this direction, from left to right. The force on q2 due to q1 is in this direction, from right to left. Now also here the forces are of equal magnitude but opposite in direction. So now what we can understand from this is the expression F12 bar is equal to q1 into q2 divided with 4 pi epsilon naught r12 bar magnitude whole cube into r12 bar Newton. This expression holds good whatever may be the charge. It may be positive positive, negative negative, positive negative. For all the three cases, for all the cases, this expression holds good, right? What we need to understand is the force in between the two charges is equal in magnitude, means both the charges will experience the force of same magnitude but they experience the force in different direction. You need to consider this fact, right? You need to understand this fact, okay? So this is about Coulomb's law. So in this class, I want to end this class. In the, let us have a summary of what we have covered up to now, okay? So first we have seen who invented Coulomb's law, who invented and when it is invented, okay? Who invented and when it is invented. When the Coulomb's law was invented, it is in 1785. Who invented? It is the scientist named Coulomb, okay? So D. Augustin Charles, okay? So Charles Augustin D. Coulomb invented Coulomb's law in 1785. And the second thing is that it is the basic law of electrostatics. Coulomb's law is the basic law of electrostatics. And the third thing is that according to Coulomb's law, force is directly proportional to product of the charges and force is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. And finally we have seen the vector form of Coulomb's law. From the vector form of Coulomb's law, we understood that the force between two charges have same magnitude but opposite direction, okay? Same magnitude but opposite direction. Okay, so this is about Coulomb's law, means some basics of Coulomb's law. In the next class we will see some more, we'll have some more discussion, some more facts related to Coulomb's law, okay? So thank you very much and bye.